Ever wondered what happens when you switch a dog from kibble to raw diet? Stay tuned as I reveal Benji's year-long journey and the lessons learned. In this long overdue follow-up video, I would like to update you on Benji's raw journey progress. If you miss how we started this adventure, check out part 1. The link will be in this episode's description. So what's the verdict? He loves it. It's been more than a year since the change, and so far every meal has been eaten in record time, and each bowl was double and even triple checked for any leftovers and licked clean. The initial transition took 4 weeks, and as I explained the process in part 1, I won't go into the details now. After the transition period was over, we started experimenting with new protein sources to make his diet as varied as possible. Now, why is that important, you might ask? Constantly feeding your dog only one protein, such as chicken, can create nutritional deficiencies and develop allergies. Different meats offer different nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and amino acids, so if you're only feeding one, it might result in a nutritional imbalance in your dog. Some meats are higher in fat than others, so it's also important to rotate to prevent your dog from being overweight. Another reason was simply to prevent boredom and keep him excited about mealtimes. So far, Benji has had the following: beef and veal, lamb, goat, rabbit, salmon, venison, turkey, duck, quail, hare, pork, sprat, mackerel, boar, goose, ox, pigeon, horse, and scallops. We thought Benji was chicken intolerant because he would have diarrhea every time we would give him some in the past. However, what's very interesting is that he hasn't reacted to raw chicken in any negative way. So he's now getting chicken thighs, backs, feet, and gizzards every now and then. Benji usually gets complete minces consisting of 80% muscle meat, 10% bone, and 10% offal. I tried a few different brands and noticed that in some, the bone content is much higher than what they state on the package. This resulted in crumbly poops and a bit of constipation, but adding an extra boneless meal helped. I now have a list of brands that I feel happy to purchase from and know which ones to avoid. I add raw sprats and eggs 2 to 3 times a week, as well as a bone broth occasionally. About supplements. There are mixed opinions when it comes to giving supplements to dogs on raw diet, the same way as there are opinions about adding fruit and vegetables. Some say they get everything they need from the meat they eat and they don't need extra supplementation, whilst others give supplements every day or occasionally. Of course, you don't want to overdo it with vitamins and minerals. Therefore, it's best to educate yourself about what nutrients can be found in certain foods and reduce or stop giving supplements for things your pup already gets from their food. Benji still gets some supplements, and these are Moby 2 to 3 times a week as a preventative, as he's a large dog and his breed is prone to joint issues. Omega on days when he doesn't have raw fish. Roaster 2 to 3 times a week, or when he's not getting other vegetables in his food. I also started doing more DIY. I buy chunks of meat like veal or venison ribs, turkey or duck necks, wings, fish heads, various organs, dry boneless chunks and minces, and so on. I then portion them, weigh them, and put them into plastic boxes, which I mark to know what's inside, and put them in the spare freezer. When the food is delivered, I spend around 4 hours doing that with Benji lying on the floor and hoping for scraps. This way I have meals ready for a month or even longer, depending on how much food I order. I try to add vegetables to his meals as well. Usually these are dark leafy greens such as spinach or kale, as they provide extra fiber, which promotes a healthy colon and firm stool consistency. They are also low in carbs and are high in magnesium, folate, vitamins K and C, and manganese. I steam and puree them, put them into silicone molds, and freeze them. He gets broccoli, asparagus, green beans, cauliflower, carrots, shiitake mushrooms, peppers, and cucumbers. Some he eats raw and some are blanched or boiled and then pureed, as this helps break down the vegetables' cell walls, making them easier to digest. Speaking of digestion, let's talk poop. It might not be the most glamorous topic, but it's a big deal. Benji's poops are now smaller and less frequent, which can only mean one thing: The majority of the food he eats is now getting absorbed by his body, unlike before when he would have 2 or even 3 poops during one walk. Now it's more like 1 or 2 a day, and he hardly ever gets diarrhea, which was a common occurrence before the switch. Benji's coat is now glossy and gleaming like never before. It feels great to the touch and it's so shiny it practically sparkles in the sun. He always gets compliments on how great he looks, which I personally feel is thanks to the diet. His dental health has improved too. He doesn't have bad breath and his teeth are cleaner and healthier because of the raw bones he gets to chew on that help to scrape the plaque off his teeth. Overall, I'm delighted with how he reacted to the raw diet and relieved that he loves his food. Is your dog a fast eater like Benji used to be? Are you considering switching, or is your dog already on a raw diet? Let us know in the comments below.